And let there be sound. Hello, everybody. My name is Kirby, Kwan Jr., and you are currently tuning into the Ghetto Fabulous Podcast. Joining me today will not be Shane, the usual co-host, but it will actually be your boy Kevin, also known as Redial. So, like, how are you doing, dude?
Well, you know,
Nice.
Same old.
Nice. So today we're here to talk about Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins, the movie, as well as sort of just we're here to sort of review it and also just kind of talk about our general thoughts on it. A quick word of warning: there will be spoilers in this movie. Of course, there will be spoilers within this video, so just let that be known. Also, if you're listening to this on an audio platform such as iTunes and Spotify, be sure to rate this 5 stars because none of us get paid for this, so just help a boy out, man. Trust.
Yeah, spoilers. He uses a sword. I can't believe this.
And he also wears black, dude.
Oh my god.
It's blasphemy.
My enjoyment of this movie that I've already seen is ruined.
Right. I guess before we even talk about the movie itself, let's talk about, because we're fucking Canadians, as if our accents didn't give it away already. But because we are Canadians, G.I. Joe is not nearly as big as it is here, as big as it is in like the States, because it's so fucking patriotic and shit, right? So G.I. Joe is not really that big here in Canada, but even then I was like a pretty big fan of G.I. Joe relative to us, again, rather tame Canadians. So from what I understand, Kevin, you know next to nothing about G.I. Joe, right?
More or less. Like, I vaguely know the characters. Just the other day, I was like, I vaguely remember seeing something from G.I. Joe in my childhood, and I was trying to remember what it was. And then I kind of vaguely remembered the theme song, and that led me to searching up the opening for G.I. Joe Sigma 6.
I fucking knew it was Sigma 6. It had to be.
It was Sigma 6. Why I remember that specifically, though, was because I think I had, like, it was either I had a DVD of, like, some other show that had an advertisement for Sigma 6, and I played before it, so it just, like, every time I watched that DVD, I would always hear that advertisement in the opening. I'm like, man, this show sounds really cool. It's too bad I'll never watch it.
You could find it online for free right now on their official YouTube.
Oh, yeah, now.
It's, interesting. I'm
sure it is.
I didn't really like Sigma 6, if I'm being honest. It's one of those shows where it's like just not really good, but that's sort of besides the point, I guess. But is that pretty much like your entire like knowledge of G.I. Joe? Just the ad for Sigma 6?
I mean, there's like there was like the ad for Sigma 6, and then if we're talking anything else, I've seen like
Retaliation.
Snippets. Very few snippets of, like, those live-action movies. Which one came first? Was it Retaliation or Rise of Cobra?
Rise of Cobra came first, and then Retaliation.
I might have seen a bit of that one.
Retaliation, I know, is the one that y'all seen in drama class in high school.
Did we?
Yes.
We watched it?
Yes, that's what William and our friend who shall not be named, she told me.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, in that case, yeah, I think, Then I watched Retaliation and maybe some clips of Rise of Cobra, and that's about it.
Right. Okay. So for me, I've seen Sigma 6 verse when it was airing on YTV, but it didn't really hit me as something that I would care about. And then I've also seen this thing called G.I. Joe Resolute, which came out around the same time as Rise of Cobra, and G.I. Joe Resolute was like a miniseries that aired on like Adult Swim. And that was pretty badass, I'm not gonna lie. And then I started like reading into more of the comics and even the 80s show and stuff like that. And that's how I got into G.I. Joe, I guess. Funnily enough, Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe was actually my first cosplay ever. That was back in like 2013, I think. At the time, I was searching for like the Retaliation's little like figure for it. Could not find it for whatever reason in Canada. The distribution was terrible. So I just ended up saying like, fuck it. I'll just make a custom of it. But then I realized it's actually more cost effective to make a life-sized outfit of it rather than making a custom toy out of it. So that's how I started cosplaying in that regard. And then I made a version 2 in 2015, and with Kevin dressed up as Storm Shadow of Halloween 2015.
Yes.
Yeah. How was that experience for you, cosplaying as some motherfucker that you have no idea what he's about?
I mean, that was interesting, I suppose.
Yeah, because I mean, I guess there's really nothing to the casual consumer, at least nothing to it. He's Asian, he's a ninja. You're Asian, you're dressed up as a ninja. Done.
It's like the most generic character you can honestly think of. It's like, yeah, so this is a ninja. Okay. He's Asian. Okay. And he uses a sword. Okay.
Whoa, hold on, dude. A sword, right?
Yeah, they're gonna have to like dial back that creativity.
Yeah, to the common consumer, like I said, it doesn't look like anything special. But yeah, and then I guess technically a version 3 was kit bashed this year for me. A version 3 of Snake Eyes cosplay, where I just used like the Shredder mercenary armor that I made back in 2019. Which is still strange to believe that was 2 years ago, but whatever. I made that armor and then just made like a new black arm set for it, and I was like, yeah, this is a Snake Eyes V3 now. Fuck it. But yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's sort of like our general familiarity with G.I. Joe, which is I know it better than Kevin, and I guess by extension better than most Canadians at the very least. I don't know if I would say I'm a diehard G.I. Joe fan, but you know what? I'm probably not, but it's one of those franchises that just kind of flies under the radar.
You're just a G.I. Joe fan.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. I was crazy enough to dress up as Snake Eyes, make my own Snake Eyes helmet, and then also buy the official Snake Eyes helmet, which I might be selling because I don't really like it that much. Anyways, before we talk about the movie itself, let's talk about some of the previous films leading up to this release. So there's 3 technically 4 main projects that are quote unquote G.I. Joe movies. There's one back in the 80s which is weird. It was either called The Secret or The Chamber of Cobra La. If it sounds stupid or zany, because it is very zany, it's basically like, oh, the Cobra troops are actually fucking like these high-tech aliens and shit and whatever. It's out there. It's like a weird experience. I would still recommend watching it just to see how fucking apeshit it gets, but yeah, it's very difficult to track what the story is, and it's honestly
aliens.
Honestly, it was created just to kill off a lot of characters and sell more toys. And except they pussied out of it, and then they're like, we're not gonna kill him. He's in a coma. That's right, he's in a coma. Yeah,
he didn't die. He's just removed from his screen time.
Yeah. But that was the Secret of Cobra La, and then like I said in 2009, G.I. Joe Resolute as well as Rise of Cobra came out. That was the first live action movie, the G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra, directed by Steven Sommers. It was strange. It was some of it felt very much like G.I. Joe, like the fact that they have like an underground pit and shit, and like they're like the secret like military force where like you never heard of him and shit. But
it was the U.S. military, but like just slightly more of them.
Yeah. But the weird shit was like they had like these weird like RoboCop suits. That was kind of strange, but and it was a fun movie. Very mindless, like more mindless than the Transformers movies in my opinion. Somehow, except for the fifth one. The fifth Transformers movie is just dog shit. But yeah, it was strange. It was successful enough to warrant a sequel / soft reboot type of thing in G.I. Joe Retaliation, which came out in 2013. That was a good movie.
Wait, Retaliation was a reboot?
No, it's like a soft reboot. It's hard to explain. It's weird. It's like a sequel, but it's not trying to be a sequel. It's like a loose sequel. That's the best way to word it. It's like a loose sequel because certain things like they don't fully add up. Like what happened to the pit in Rise of Cobra and General Hawk and all these other characters like Heavy Duty and like Ripcord and like Scarlet and shit, like they just kind of disappeared.
Right.
Yeah, so like I said, it's just like a half reboot type of, not really a full, like I said, a super soft reboot / loose sequel. It was successful enough.
That or it was meant to be a sequel, but the screenwriter got amnesia and just forgot about half the characters and plot points.
I don't know, man. It was a good enough movie on its own. Pretty fun. Still a bit mindless. The characters were kind of flat too, but it was still fun. I think everybody at the time agreed that the Storm Shadow Snake Eyes thing was like perhaps the best part of the movie.
Right.
And I think most people generally agree. And in fact, I think most people outside of, people in the States, when they think of G.I. Joe, they just think of the ninja stuff. So there's that.
Yeah, well, because like the other parts of G.I. Joe, from what I see, is just generic spy/military dudes. Like, I've seen a lot of like the older toys, and a lot of them just come with guns, right?
Well, yeah, it's sort of like a mix between military and like science and some sci-fi to a degree, and and a lot of like disguise and espionage. In fact, the character Zartan, like his original toy back in the 80s, his whole gimmick, aside from having a lot of like different faceplates that work as masks, is I forget it was UV activated, or UV activated. His skin color would change and shit. It like I said, there's a degree of like a lot of science fiction. The general gist of it
sounds like that dude's gonna get canceled like these days
because of the skin color. It's purple though. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
he's got UV reactive.
He's just like hella sensitive to sunburns and shit. But generally it was like G.I. Joe, the military that like pushes the science, and then the other side is straight up like fucking Cobra, which is like super sci-fi terrorists, like.
Yeah.
And also they had like a whole lot of like fucking what acronyms in all their fucking vehicles and shit. Like the HISS tank, which stands for High Speed Sentry.
Slight tangent for me, right? But like speaking of that, like, Cobra, the sci-fi terrorist and all that, like do you feel like that G.I. Joe, compared to like a lot of the other like 90s, 80s franchises that, were rebooted and turned to like live action movies or like modern day properties, do you feel like G.I. Joe is one of the ones that worked or didn't? Like, as opposed to something like, big example I would give you, like Transformers.
Do I think it worked?
Well, like, in a way, compared to like just because like Transformers, like there was that one joke in, what was it, Bumblebee, where it's like, John Cena was like, they're Decepticons. Why would you trust them? In that sense, where it's like, yeah, clearly the names were made in an era where it was just very clear they were meant to just sell toys to kids.
Yeah.
But because they can't really change it, and then they're forced to bring it straight to the modern day, it becomes something really cartoony where it's like, yeah, you just made the villains sound like villains completely. Like, there's no way they're hiding it.
So I think... So that's a tough question to answer. Actually, no, it's pretty easy. Kind of. It could have been better, but it could have been way worse.
Of course.
I feel like...
Like, would you say way worse would be Decepticons?
Yeah, like unable to age, so to speak, in terms of its demographic. The thing about G.I. Joe is the cartoons by Marvel Animation / Sunbow was very much kiddish, but the comics at the time, written by Larry Hama, was like very much way more mature in this. And I don't mean mature as in, oh yeah, hella graphic and shit like that. I mean like there was this thing called subtlety in the writing sometimes. Yeah. In fact, there was this whole issue that everyone, if like most G.I. Joe fans know as the silent interlude, where literally the whole comic is completely silent. There's no writing in it. There's no speech bubbles or thoughts bubbles. It's just strictly just art and direction to the art in the panels and stuff. When it comes to stuff like that, as well as the full story, which we will talk about between Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow sort of like super long heroic journey, like it can be executed well, and like I said, thankfully none of the names none of the faction names at least aged immaturely, so to speak.
I would tend to agree, but then again I would also say that it is a bit weird, like your organization is called G.I. Joe, like just General Infantry Joe.
Yeah.
Or just the Joes. Joe Mama.
But hey, I mean, like, they could have fucking called it Sigma 6, dude.
That's true. They could have called it Sigma Nuts.
Yeah. So yeah, to sum up,
like on the one hand you have, on the one hand you have the Joes as your organization name. On the other hand, you have Cobra, generic evil organization named after a dangerous animal.
But it could have been worse, because in the Secret of Cobra Law, what they did was, instead of just sort of like chanting Cobra, they changed it to fucking Cobra la 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 la. I'm not making this up. it's yeah.
They were trying to sacrifice the Cobra Commander to summon the Cobra Lord.
Well, technically, it was Supenter at the time. Anyways, but yeah.
I'm sorry. You'll need to sacrifice both the Cobra Lord and the Cobra Commander to summon the Cobra God Dragon.
What the fuck? No, but okay. Technically, the big baddie, his name was fucking Globulus. I told you, it's fucking wild. Anyways, but yeah, I feel like G.I. Joe, the property itself, has the potential, provided in the right hands, has the potential to be one of the more powerhouses, so to speak, in pop culture media that isn't backed by DC or Marvel or Star Wars.
It's backed by Hasbro.
Yeah, because Transformers kind of did it for like a good decade.
True.
But yeah, that's sort of how we feel about the general sort of G.I. Joe media within this sort of modern era, aka 25th and onward, as it's called. Anyways, now let's actually talk about Snake Eyes, G.I. Joe Origins, the movie itself. Just kidding. Before that, what do you think about the marketing stuff leading up to it? How did you feel about the hype surrounding it, or lack thereof?
I'll be honest. I didn't see much of it.
Nice.
if any. I mean, I saw some stuff. Like I was aware that the movie was coming out.
Yeah.
Like I was aware that they were making a G.I. Joe movie based on Snake Eyes, but I was just like, okay, but like I wasn't under the impression that G.I. Joe was that big of a franchise to warrant another movie.
Right. Okay. For me, the first thing that I thought was, okay, cool, it's about time. It would be dope to see a Snake Eyes movie. And then it was revealed that they were casting Henry Golding from Crazy Rich Asians as Snake Eyes. And Snake Eyes in the comics is a blonde hair white dude. And he has like hella. He's basically he took a fucking grenade to the face, so he's all moshed up, right? But
okay,
and a lot of people were like, "What the fuck, man? Why are you changing Snake Eyes into an Asian dude?" And my initial reaction was like, "Bro, I cosplayed as Snake Eyes before, and I was covered up from head to toe, all black, not a single inch of skin showing, not a single strand of hair showing. You would not know if I was a guy or a girl, let alone what my ethnicity was." I could have been a fucking snake. but yeah, that was my.
You could have been Mark Zuckerberg.
Okay, bruh, man, could have been smoking the meats, bro.
You basically were being smoked meat in that suit.
Yeah, not really. I engineer my suits just enough to have like the right vent points. Regardless, though, that was my initial reaction. Was interesting. But I don't care. I want to see how this movie turns out first, because if anything's going to let it down, it's the writing. So that's my initial thoughts of it.
The writing, the directing, the acting. There's a lot that can let it down.
Yeah. So let's talk about sort of like, the main players in the G.I. Joe movie, in terms of the characters of Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow. That's honestly about it.
That's honestly about it, yeah.
Because the other characters are either non-essential towards the story or done wrong, so to speak. So, it's a Snake Eyes movie, so let's talk about Snake Eyes first, I suppose, played by Henry Golding.
Sure.
He has a backstory in this, but we'll talk about that later in the plot section. I feel like his character was kind of bland, so to speak. He's just like this vengeful motherfucker that's also like a treacherous dickhead. And as such, those are traits that are somewhat unlikable. I mean, thankfully, Henry Golding is a good actor, and he put on a pretty charming performance, I suppose. But the character is still a bit of a dickhead, though.
I mean, yeah, that is his whole character in this movie is just a dickhead.
Yeah. Then I like the 11th hour, like, you know what, man? I want to be a part of the Sarajikage family, bro. I'm gonna come back and fight with y'all. Never, mind you, he was the fucking cause of the fight to begin with. He was
literally the reason why everything went wrong.
Yeah, it's literally his fault. I didn't feel like he redeemed himself, nor do I feel like he earned the suit at the
there
end.
was literally a point in the movie where, he finds out that Cobra is working with the guy he's working with, and that Cobra are literally these fucking super sci-fi terrorists who fucking, like, just murder indiscriminately.
Yeah.
And in his mind, he was just like, yeah,
But my dad, though.
he literally was the dude from Shrek where he was like, some of you may die, but that is a sacrifice I am willing to make.
Yeah.
And then the movie comes and he's like, that is not a sacrifice I'm willing to make. I'm coming to help you guys.
Yeah, pretty much. I feel like this dickhead, like, didn't really, like, redeem himself at the end. Like, he didn't earn it. I didn't feel it. I call bullshit on that. Did not like his character. Didn't. I really did not like his character. He spoke. That's okay with me for what they were going with. Like, I don't mind him speaking necessarily, because if you give, like, a mute person a voice, like, that's actually pretty sick if you think about it. Like, we finally get to audibly hear what this guy's thoughts are. But the thing is, his thoughts is so, like, there's next to no thinking. It's just, hey, my dad, he kind of died, and I'm, like, still mad at that. So, like, I'm mad, bro. That was it. And it's like,
his whole motivation was just me mad, look for mad,
vengeance,
kill bad,
motherfucker. It's like that's some top tier writing, Bridgen. So
literally just vengeance.
Yeah, I didn't mind the fact that he had a voice still. I minded the fact that he still had his voice towards the end. Because I was like, okay, if he doesn't lose his voice, but I don't mind. Even if he didn't have a fucking suit, I didn't care. But if he doesn't lose his voice by the end of this movie, I don't think his arc is complete. He needs to have some.
I feel like that's another great point for you. Like, you're gonna get to that, the suit.
Yeah, I will. Oh, yeah. But for me, the character, I felt like his arc was incomplete.
Well, like, you were under the impression that he was going to lose his voice because he so far he's been a mute character, and because they gave him a voice, you feel like they were going to turn him into a mute character again.
Yeah. And, like, there's multiple ways they could have done it. They didn't need to do the classic, like, 80s cartoon where they went to Vietnam War and then took a grenade to the face. Like,
right.
He could, well, obviously, because the Vietnam War doesn't exist no more.
Yeah, it's a modern day reboot, so there's other ways of doing it.
Like, the way that they did it in G.I. Joe Resolute was a sniper was supposed to kill the Hardmaster, and then they saw Snake Eyes trying to save him, and they're like, fuck you, bitch, and then shot him in the vocal cords, and he lost his voice that way. Cool, that's fine. Even in the original, the first two movies, the reason why he didn't lose his voice, he still has it, he just doesn't speak, and that's like a vow of honor in the name of the death of the Hardmaster. Like, just I wish he lost his voice for some reason. I felt like, considering how much of a dickhead he was in this film, he should have lost his voice trying to save the clan somehow. That way you kind of really earn it. He should
sacrifice something.
Yeah, but he kind of just like, oh, I'm fucking badass. Yeah, I don't know, he's Australian now, but yeah.
Because Snake Eyes. His character really does not experience much loss throughout this film. Yeah, he loses his dad in the beginning of the film, and that's it.
The only change that he had was now he's a ninja.
Yeah.
And he gets a pretty cool suit at the end.
That's not much of a loss. He literally just been just been gaining.
Yeah, that's literally just like EXP and like a character equip, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's all it is. So the story arc, or lack thereof, of Snake Eyes and his character, I think, was beyond weak for a main character.
For a film that's supposed to be based on him.
Yeah. It doesn't help that in all of the marketing material they use A$AP Ferg's song, I'm on a new level, but he doesn't really go through any changes.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of disappointed in that aspect. And I'll explain why.
He went through changes. It was just he didn't go through any loss. He just literally just been gaining.
Yeah, he didn't really learn nothing aside from ninja moves.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about the character of Storm Shadow, played by Andrew Koji. I actually liked. I like that character, and I'll go ahead and say this now, so that there's no doubt or whatever. I genuinely think that Storm Shadow, aside from at first glance, is generally a more interesting character than Snake Eyes. It's not just, and this is not me discriminating against mute people, I swear.
My question would be, because I don't know much about the history of like Storm Shadow, what was his like backstory before this movie?
So the thing is, his backstory is highly dependent on the writer.
Right.
But generally speaking, the way that it works is he is believed to have killed the Hardmaster. You know what? I was gonna bring up Hardmaster later. I'll bring him up now. The Hardmaster is about like the same age as like Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow, if not just a little bit older. That's bullshit. The Hardmaster is meant to be like a grandpa almost to them. He's supposed to be fucking like a Master Splinter type character, bro.
Right.
And he's like, nah, here's just like a really badass trainer. Like, no, you fucking fucked that up.
It's just a dude.
Yes, he did it. He barely spoke. Anyways, regardless. To sum up Hardmaster, by the way, he bullshit. Simple as that.
All right.
And he really should have fucking died. Because in most iterations, the Hardmaster dies, and most people believe that Storm Shadow is the one who killed him.
Right.
Turns out it is not. He's not. I did not kill him. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not kill him. I did not. Right?
Yep.
Turns out it was, in most iterations, it's Zartan who killed him. And Storm Shadow infiltrates the ranks of Cobra to find out the truth. And it's all... In fact, he's the vengeful dickhead, really, usually.
Right. I mean, that kind of makes sense for a supposed villain.
Yeah, and then but the thing is, once he's done with that, he actually, well, in the cartoon he straight up sides with G.I. Joe and joins their ranks. In most iterations outside of the show, he usually is just like on his own, just like a self-serving type of dude. And that's generally the way that Storm Shadow is. That's why I feel like Storm Shadow to me is way more interesting, because he was that committed to fucking finding out who did it that he actually joined them and shit.
Well, yeah, like that honestly kind of makes more sense than just my dad was killed by somebody.
And even like,
I gotta find out who it is.
Yeah, and aside from some like romantic shit, Snake Eyes actually did die in the comics. And then, but he died like a bitch. He took a grenade to the face. And in my mind is like, didn't you already take a grenade to the face? And you were badass enough to make it out of it. Now you're gonna die by taking a grenade to the face, Regin? And then he was replaced by his.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Not in this case. What didn't kill him? Just killed him the second time.
Yeah, and then he was replaced by his apprentice Kamakura. And that might sound interesting, right? It's like, oh, he's gonna carry on the mantle, kind of like how Dick Grayson did for Bat. Nope. No. All Kamakura did was he basically fucking copied Snake Eyes. He even lost his voice somehow. I forgot how, but it was terrible.
Oh,
Regardless. Storm Shadow in this movie, though, I feel like because he was a side character, they had to make him a little. They had to show his temper a little bit too much, like almost exaggerated sometimes. Because like every time he lost the ability to kill Kenta, he was like throwing a fit almost.
Man, I was gonna be like, man, this dude's really angry.
He is Japanese.
He is just a really angry character.
But he still has like this big thing about him and like the whole like he's my honor, backstory and shit, right? I don't know why did I fucking make that voice. In fairness, Andrew Koji Andrew Koji made that voice throughout the whole fucking movie. And if you ever watched him anything else, that's not his natural voice.
Well, no, he made that voice for probably like the first 5 minutes, and they just gave up and then defaulted to his natural accent.
Yeah, Andrew Koji kind of flip-flopped a little bit. It's not as bad as Henry Golding, where he had tried to do like an American accent for like the first, I think it was like 15 minutes.
Henry Golding or the other person, like the chick that was with Storm Shadow, Haruka Abe.
I think she just straight up like nah, mate, fuck it.
Like all three of them, like eventually it just devolved into like the British accent, and you're just like, where am I?
I think Andrew Koji.
I thought I was in Japan.
I think Andrew Koji at least tried. It wasn't great.
He tried like occasionally.
He's tried more than the other two. I feel for sure.
I almost feel like the longer a scene goes on,
you hear the accent
the more
falling,
chances
right?
for Andrew Koji to default back to his regular voice. Like like at the beginning of the scene, it's almost like he's trying at the beginning whenever like a scene starts, like when they cut to another scene and he shows up, he starts with a voice and then it just fades as the scene
For 600 years, the Arashikoge clan has been keeping the world safe. So what we need to do is we need to find this dickhead named Kenta and we need to kill him. right? No, but yeah, I feel like, what was I saying again? Yeah, his temper was a little bit exaggerated for the sake of like expressing that through, because he's not like the main character of this movie, but they still have to show that part so that he looks like an evil dickhead by the end.
Speaking of like connecting with his temper, there was just that one corny ass line where it's like, "You are like the shadow before a storm."
That was unfortunate because, to me, I feel like the easy way that they could have implemented Storm Shadow was just refer to his last name, Arashikage, which literally means storm shadow, word for word, in Japanese, of course. But they didn't do that, which, cool, fine, whatever. It wasn't great. It was poor writing, in my opinion. It was very corny. But the other thing too is I think they made his rage look crazier when he was like, to serve. I've been serving this clan for all my life. Whatever the fuck. At first, I thought to myself, I'm like, that seems rather exaggerated. But if you really think about it, bro, he's completely justified. If you really, because like he's the most active motherfucker in the clan, trying to kill off this one dickhead who betrayed them and shit, right? And he had to use
A, betrayed them, and B, literally said, "I'm gonna come back and kill all you motherfuckers."
Yeah. Like he literally is the most active and proactive member of the Arashikage clan, and he literally did save the day. Technically, like if he did not capture the fucking the red stone, like they all would have been wiped. So technically, he saved the day. Technically, but Snake Eyes did it. It's its film. It's its movie. No, fucking Storm Shadow did. If you really think about it, and then but no, he used the red stone. You are no longer part of this clan. Yeah. Right, and he had a plan for the future, which was almost Bruce Lee-esque, which was, hey, we can't just we need to invite outsiders into our clan. We need to think for the future, and make sure that we're able to protect the world and shit and whatever. He was actually he had a plan. It wasn't the greatest plan in terms of the way they executed it, but it was a good plan on its own, and he actually did the most. But because he used the stone, the main bitch was like, no, man. You're not part of our family no more. Also, I find it funny how you've been
corrupted by the stone.
Yeah, you betray us. Do you understand life? Tommy, do you understand life? No, but when it was like to fucking serve, bro, I've been doing the most in this shit, and just because of this, you're telling me I can't be a part of my own clan, bro? Like literally, Arashikage, it's in my fucking name, bro. I was like, you know what, man? You're fucking justified.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. That's how I felt about like the Storm Shadow dynamic or Storm Shadow in this. I think even in this movie he seemed a little bit more interesting than Snake Eyes.
I mean, he was a very interesting character, other than the constant rage.
Yeah.
That was just comedic. Like eventually it just became comedic at one point.
Yeah, because
you just have this angry Japanese man just yelling at people all the time.
Yeah, because if you really think about the plot of the movie in regards to Snake Eyes, our main protagonist, it's literally our main protagonist walks the tightropes of ethics to get revenge for his dad. Turns out his dad was actually a G.I. Joe, which is absolutely bullshit and unnecessary. Like it really turns it into a chosen one type of thing. And then he really didn't really do much by the end to redeem himself. And he also still is able to talk by the end of the movie while also getting the suit.
Yep.
So about the suit, the suit looks fucking dope. It's a little bit too tacky for my liking for an Origins type of suit. Like this is the first iteration.
We saw it, and the marketing material fucking used it all the time.
Fam, I was about to get into this. They literally showed both the last shot of the main film itself as well as the fucking last shot of the post-credit scenes or mid-credit scenes in the fucking marketing material. This is worse than Amazing Spider-Man 2. What the fuck is this?
Yeah.
What the fuck is this? But the suit itself, you know what?
In regards to it being techie, I would say that it kind of fits because of its origin in this movie.
That fair enough, actually.
That's the only thing I could say that is actually appropriate, because it doesn't really justify the fact that it literally shows up at the end and that's it.
By the way, you're wrong about one thing. We actually see more of the suit in marketing material than the actual film itself.
Oh God, we do.
Yes, they shot this. There's this special IG promotional thing where it shows like comic book artwork and stuff, and then pages flipping into the actual live action versions. And that clip of whoever that motherfucker in that suit was doing a sword flower into a slash, that was shot strictly for the marketing material. So technically, we see more of the suit in marketing material than we do in the movie.
Oh God.
Yeah. Also, a minor thing: the Storm Shadow never wears his fucking mask.
Oh right, yeah.
Yep, just a personal thing.
Well, yeah, like I was gonna say kinda, but the kinda is basically the motorcycle helmet. That's basically just what replaces it.
Nah, man, I need that balaclava, bro.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about some technical things, right? Because let's say if a movie has like a very weak story, if it's still a visual spectacle, it could still be fun. A la like the Transformers movies, or even...
Well, actually, I have one more thing I want to add about Snake Eyes, right? Or
not
about Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow.
Sure.
Because I was talking to Danny about it, and because he watched the movie with us.
Yeah, shout out to Danny.
And he was just like... he gave me like my favorite quote about Storm Shadow. He was just like, yo, why is Storm Shadow such a fucking weeb? He was like, I know he's supposed to be Japanese, but like the way this dude draws his swords, like you know how he like when he draws both of his swords and he holds them like sideways, like beside him on his sides, like when he like flips them both out, he's like, yo, that's such a fucking weeb move to do.
Fair enough.
I mean, I just didn't have a response for that. I was like, yeah, that's okay, fair enough. He's just a weeb, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. I want to talk about the action in this movie, because the best shots in the whole film were all in the marketing material, in the action.
Yeah.
And the action scenes in this movie, in my opinion, were very piss poor, because not only is it dimly lit, it's also shaky as hell. Danny had motion sickness after watching this film, which is terrible because he was a designated driver.
After like the first like 5 minutes.
Yeah, and here's my thing, right? In fairness, you could say, oh, well, that was Snake Eyes before he honed his skill as a ninja and shit, so it's meant to look very raw and visceral, which is why the shaky cam is there. Which that's a good defense. That
is a defense. Is it a good defense? Well, no, not really, because he could be messy and visceral, but the camera doesn't have to be.
No, I think it is an actual legitimate good defense, because that's how you could visually tell a story. The problem with that...
By giving the audience nausea?
Sort of, yeah, because it's very raw, visceral, and unrefined. So it kind of suits that type of like stage of action. But my problem with that is, now that he's refined his skills as a ninja, and you showed us some dope ass stabilized B-roll footage of him fucking landing in Tokyo and shit, as if it was like the best produced vlog ever. Why the fuck is it still shaky as shit after all of that? Like you would imagine, like he's a ninja now. He's super slick. You see this fool climb up buildings, just disabling fucking security cameras and shit like that. And then every time he fights, you just like feel like you're on like the worst roller coaster ever.
Now, to be fair, it also isn't just when he fights; it's when everyone fights.
Yeah, like that's at that point, you know, it wasn't intentional for the story. They're just bad fucking cinematographers when it comes to action.
They really just
it's too tight. It's too shaky. Yeah, it's too tight. It's too shaky.
You, like, I think some of the fight scenes had decent choreography.
Oh, dude. I've seen some marketing material where all the actors they sit down and they talk like, I really hope you guys get to enjoy the fight scenes and the action and the martial arts in this film. You know, we really trained ourselves to really make sure that, you know, it's great choreography and it was intensive training and we put a lot of hard work into it. And they show the side by side of the rehearsal and the final film, and I was able to make out a lot more of what the fuck was happening in the rehearsal than the final film. And at that moment, I'm not gonna lie, in the back of my head, I'm like, dude, this film might be shit. like the action.
I mean, at that point, I think that really is just the camera work, isn't it?
No, I genuinely feel like it is.
Because I think some of the fight scenes had decent choreography. Like if you could tell what's going on.
Yeah.
If you can tell what's going on, you're like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Because a very dope
What's
shot.
happening?
Like a very good shot that I'll mention, and it's in a trailer. So like is when Akiko hops off her bike, jumps off one side of the card carrier, and then the other side of a different truck. I think it was like a trailer, and then back onto the car carrier, sliced two motherfuckers up, and then back onto her seat. That was badass, and it looked clean too. It was also one of the few shots that were done in slow motion, so I don't know if that had something to do with it.
That could have been, but at the same time, that suffered from the other problem that we mentioned, as in dimly lit fights.
Yeah, and I think the reason why it worked was because her outfit was like sort of highlighted in white.
Yeah.
But basically they had the fucking Yakuza dressed in black suits, like John Wick and shit, and then Snake Eyes clad completely in black. And it's like, what is happening?
Fighting at night on top of a moving vehicle.
Yeah, and it's not like a regular vehicle where you can kind of tell, like, oh, that's the roof of the vehicle. It was a fucking car carrier.
Yeah, so there was multiple levels of elevation. You could barely tell what's going on.
Yeah, beams and bars that like really blend in with the swords and shit.
The lighting was also inconsistent because they're on a highway.
Yeah. The action was... I can't grade the action itself because you could barely see it. You can't make out what's happening.
Like, you could grade it. You could say that the action was decent if you could see it. But because you could barely see it half the time. There ain't a lot to judge.
I feel like since, we're both Asians and we've cosplayed as, Storm Shadow and Snake Eye. Well, you only Storm Shadow. I've cosplayed as both. I think it might be important for us to address sort of like the Asian casting of Henry Golding as Snake Eyes rather than a blue-eyed, blonde-hair looking dude.
Right.
So, what are your thoughts on that, if any?
I mean, I don't really have much for that because I don't know the origins of the character, right?
Right.
I'm only under the impression that, because I would assume Storm Shadow was supposed to be Japanese from the beginning, or some sort of Asian. Because he was supposed to be an actual ninja, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would assume he'd probably be Japanese in the original. It would have made sense if they casted everyone to be Japanese, in Japan, or at least most people. And, that seems to kind of check out.
I mean, in fairness, the Blind Master, in most iterations where he's actually seen, no pun intended, he is meant to be a black dude, it seems like.
So that's fine, right? Like that fits the lore, I suppose.
Yeah.
But they casted actual Japanese people as in Japan, as opposed to the last movie where there was a Korean dude.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm glad you mentioned that because I will bring that up again.
Sure.
So here's my real thoughts of casting an Asian dude as Snake Eyes. In my opinion, it really doesn't fucking matter. Yeah. Because there's nothing about Snake Eyes' actual origin that makes it an absolute requirement for him to be a white dude. Some people are going to say,
there's no hard indicator that he has to be, a Westerner or an Easterner. He's just a dude.
because like, someone's going to say, oh, there is actually something buried, which is that, when he unmasks himself, he's a white dude with blonde hair. And you know what? Be that as it may, let's fucking be honest with ourselves. When do we really see this dude unmasked? You don't. Well, you're not supposed to, I should say.
Right.
You're not supposed to. First things first. Secondly, there's nothing that states that he needs to be white. It's not like, oh yeah, his father was a fucking like Irish fucking fighter or some shit. No, there's nothing like that.
No, or
there's nothing about it.
Another example I could give you would be like, it's not like he's, Magneto.
Yeah, it's not like Magneto where he was an actual like, well, man, it was terrible. Where he's fucking like Jewish and everything.
Yeah, Magneto's a Jewish person. Like at that point, you have to cast a white person to play Magneto. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense that, and from his backstory at all.
And here's the thing, right? The character of Snake Eyes in this movie is bad, in my opinion, but it has nothing to do with Henry Golding.
It has everything to do with the writing, the directing.
Yes, because in both the films as well as the comics, there is nothing racially specific about how the character is written. There's nothing that states that he needs to be Asian or needs to be white or needs to be black. Nothing specific like that.
Right. But like the best comparison would be to Storm Shadow. There's no like for him there is some sort of precedent that he has to be Asian.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, if you really wanted a white dude to play Snake Eyes so bad, guess what? It still would have been fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Because it was just poorly written. And the dope thing too is I could prove it because there's nothing specific in the script or in the movie that states that Snake Eyes is Asian. In fact, even his dad was barely Asian. if you really think about it, there's nothing Asian about.
I mean, it was so dark half the time I could barely tell if they were Asian or white.
You know, low key, I'm not gonna lie, his dad kind of looked like Randall Park in certain scenes. But the point is, like, there's nothing racially specific about the way that the character was written, meaning that they really could have casted any motherfucker to be Snake Eyes, and it still would have been bad.
Yeah,
because it was just poorly written. The film suffered from mischaracterization of Snake Eyes, not just ethnically, if you want to take it there, but honestly, like any actor with equal talent, even greater talent than Henry Golding, if they played Snake Eyes, the film would still be just as bad because that's the main character.
Like at that point, it was just being held back by the directing and writing. Like you really can't say anything more about it.
Yeah, because truth be told, if they did Snake Eyes like more justice and have him be a ninja a majority of the time during his training and not show his face and shit, you probably wouldn't even know if he was like what his ethnicity is. In fact, there's probably shots where it was his stunt double and we would not have known.
I mean, yeah, if you
just
all
Asians look alike. No, I'm joking.
If you just covered his face, they could have literally just dubbed him over and we wouldn't have known.
Yeah. No one would have known. So to me, I don't think casting an Asian actor to play Snake Eyes was the problem. But there was some precedence to when people say that Snake Eyes, the movie, casted an Asian person for the sake of, like...
representation?
Like ethnicity things. Representation politics, I guess.
Yeah.
There is some precedence to that because here's how you appease both making a good G.I. Joe movie using these characters while still having an Asian lead. Just make a fucking Storm Shadow movie.
Honestly, the way when we watched this movie, it really seemed like they wanted to make a Storm Shadow movie because most of it was focused on him.
Yeah, because
like Snake Eyes barely plays a big role in his own movie. His whole role was just, I want revenge for my father.
Yeah.
And then he literally went through the journey with this other dude who's all like, this man betrayed my clan, and now he's trying to kill everyone.
Up with this world.
I'm fed up with this world.
No, yeah, I agree 100%. Because look, I already mentioned how I personally think that Storm Shadow, is arguably way more of an interesting character, especially in the long run with his hero's journey. He's already fucking Asian. Not only is he already in the clan, it is his clan, right?
Yep.
And there's and I mentioned that plot where he's directly tied to the Hardmaster's death, both in terms of how he's framed for it, but also they're related by blood. And the thing is, you don't need to worry about communication and shit because he already fucking speaks. Yep. He can already talk, and honestly, he can walk away still being able to talk.
Like now that I think about it, if they just rewrote like some of this to where it was more of a Storm Shadow movie, and Snake Eyes was sort of a villain, I think it would have kind of worked out.
Yeah, I'm telling you. More. Yeah, I'm telling you, the casual fan, I genuinely believe it's also because the casual fan probably doesn't want to see a Storm Shadow movie. He's not as big as a villain as, let's say, a Joker, where Joker could have his own movie. Right, and like I said, also really at the end of the day, he's more, I hate to say this, but he's more of an anti-hero, I guess.
I mean, but I want to say, like, he's also more of a generic character if you really think, but he's just a white ninja. It is a lot less interesting than, this dude in, like, this high-tech, like, all-black suit.
Visually, yes, I would say so. Character-wise, though, I think Storm Shadow has always been a richer character.
And, movies, spectacle, right?
Yeah. I bet you there's going to be so many shippers that are going to be like, how could you say that, Kirby? Fucking Storm Shadow and Scarlet, though. Get that mess out of here, bro. get that mess out of here. Nah, but yeah, I felt like the easy solution, and it's right there. Just fucking make a Storm Shadow movie, and then promise that Snake Eyes will be an integral part in it, because he is. Yeah. He is an integral part of the story, of the mythos.
Hang on,
but just make it a Storm Shadow movie, because that's where the story really lies, in the clan of Arashikage.
I mean, like, I'm using the Wikipedia page as reference for some of the stuff that I didn't remember, like the names of the actors and stuff, right? And I can see that currently, until it's finished its run, it's currently a commercial flop. Like, the movie, the budget for the movie was at least $110 million. I don't know if that includes advertising. And so far, it's only earned back 33.
Well, the other thing, too, in some degrees of fairness, COVID is really fucking shit up.
That's true.
Because they released it both in theaters at the same time as streaming, I believe.
Yeah.
But removing that, though, the marketing was also kind of piss poor outside of like diehard fans, because I felt like the toys and merchandise did a better job at marketing than traditional media marketing.
Right.
In fact, the first teaser trailer that they released was 30 seconds. Yeah. 30 seconds, dude.
30 seconds.
Yeah. So I really had high hopes for this movie, and I felt like I was just kind of blatantly ignoring all the seeds of poorness.
Yep.
I really wanted this to work, but this really let me down. It was very disappointing for me. If I were to rate this movie out of 5 stars, I'm honestly thinking 2.
Like, it really isn't that great.
It really isn't. Like, the costuming is cool.
Yeah.
The set design is actually legitimately cool. The cinematography is fine, except for action scenes.
Yeah, like,
but the story itself is too lacking. The characterizations, if not off, not really in the right lane of ethics for the main character, for the characters. And the cameos from, I guess, extended cameos for the characters of Baroness and Scarlet don't really... They kind of come out of nowhere, honestly. Especially Scarlet. You can make the argument that Baroness was meant to be like a bit of a twist reveal or a surprise reveal, but Scarlet didn't really need to be there, in my opinion.
Like, it really sucks because I'm watching the trailer again, right?
Who the fuck is Scarlet?
and it really does seem like they're just trying to make it seem like, he's gonna use the suit for most of the movie.
But he not.
Like, that was almost like a huge, like, plot point for this.
Yeah. And the suit looks dope. But you're not going to see it. Because here's my thing. I thought he was going to lose his voice by taking a blast of, like, that red rock energy thing.
Yeah.
And then they were going to install some kind of, like... Because the Arashikages, they seem to be somehow, like, super advanced with their tech. I thought they were going to put something to stabilize... Like, I don't know, his fucking airflow. I don't know shit about the human body, but like to stabilize the wound or some shit.
Do something for him.
Yeah, but his vocal cords are far too damaged for them to have him there. And shit.
So instead they give him, the suit.
Yeah, and then the suit was meant to be compensation. It's like, wear the mask so that, you won't get, fucked up because you're still recovering. But, to go along with it, we were managed to get in talks with the Joes. Here's the suit. Let's take down Kenta.
Like, yeah, like there's so much ways that it could have been better, but it just isn't.
Do you know what's a better Snake Eyes movie, dude?
What is?
Fucking Bumblebee.
Because he
doesn't
also,
fucking speak. He goes through a legitimate arc. I'm just saying. I'm fucking around.
The best part is they use that shot of him, like, the last shot of him in the suit walking out of the castle.
The dojo? Yeah.
They use that twice in the fucking trailer.
Dude, have you watched Black Widow by chance?
Nope.
I'm gonna spoil it for you
Go
a
ahead.
little bit. So Taskmaster's in the comic book.
Right.
In the comic book. His real name is Tony Masters. Yes, it's corny as fuck, but this comic book, so allow it.
Yeah.
And he's pretty interesting. He's meant to have the ability to... He took a serum, an experimental serum, of course, because it's Marvel.
It's always experimental.
And he garners him the ability to memorize and mimic to the T. It's basically the Sharingan. It gives him the ability to analyze and mimic the moves to perfection. But the side effect is, and this is why it wasn't used for Steve Rogers, the side effect is you actually end up losing your own memory.
Sure.
Isn't that interesting? So what they did instead in the movie, they still kept the Taskmaster element of the suit, the look, and the power, but they made Taskmaster, first and foremost, it's a chick. It's the main villain's daughter. I don't really care about that. As in, I don't really mind. I don't really care. because that alone makes it. It's not Tony Masters, so it's a brand new character using the pseudonym of Taskmaster. Fine, cool. Fun fact: this character's fight scenes are fucking badass in Black Widow. Fucking badass. Uses a sword, uses a bow and arrow, or I guess a recurve. Uses a shield, of course. Fucking badass. Super tough, super determined, super badass in kill mode 24/7 and does not speak.
Okay.
She's fucking Snake Eyes.
All right. Thanks, Mass Tasker.
Now, Tony Masters in the comic books, he's a mercenary and he's a bit of a dickhead.
Yeah.
Isn't that Snake Eyes in his movie?
Are you telling me they just wrote the same character twice?
No, they just got the characters swapped. To a degree, of course. I'm bullshitting. I'm joking around a little bit.
Also, watching the trailer through again, right? I realized, that was also partially the reason why they gave him like an outfit, like the outfit that he wears. It's so similar to the Snake Eye suit because they basically used it to disguise the fact that he's not in the suit.
That might also be why it's shot in the darkness and shit.
If you actually watch the trailer, he's like, whenever he's like jumping through, like there's a lot of action scenes where he's in like the black suit before the actual Snake Eye suit, right?
Yeah,
it almost seems like it's obscuring his face a lot. Like they make the head part really blurry, so you can't really tell it's not the Snake Eyes helmet.
I was able to tell immediately, but that's also because I'm a cosplayer, so I notice these things.
Right.
But I think that might also add to the reason as to why they shot it in the dark is what I meant. It's so that they could cut it very quickly and shit to pretend like it is.
Yes.
For the trailers and shit. But yeah, I was just very disappointed with this film. I felt like it could have been... First things first, I felt like they took the wrong approach to begin with. I felt like it should have been a Storm Shadow movie. Or if you wanted it to be a Snake Eyes movie, don't take this storyline. Maybe make one where he just joined the Joes. He's meeting everybody, and he's meeting like General Hawk because he was handpicked or some shit. Just something different. I wouldn't have done this story this way through the lens of Snake Eyes. I either would have made it Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow, or make it a Storm Shadow film, because I think that would arguably be more interesting. What out of 5 stars? What would be your rating for this particular film?
Maybe like a 2 or a 2.5.
Same, yeah.
Like it kind of is like one of those turn your brain off movies, but you can't even turn your brain off and enjoy it because of how shit the fucking action scenes are.
And you'll get nausea, bro.
Yeah. Like the action scenes makes you nauseous. The story is kind of fucking shit, honestly. It's just a generic revenge story. And even that, it's not that great because the main character's kind of fucking bad.
The main character's a dick.
Yeah, he's just a dick.
He's a spineless dick.
He lacks motivation as well. He's just a dick who has
not. This dude isn't Snake Eyes. He's just a snake, bro. He'll fucking turn your back against you and shit.
Like that's it.
Yeah. I would genuinely say that, like, out of the 3 live-action G.I. Joe movies, this one perhaps had the biggest potential because it could have learned from the other 2.
I mean,
I think his suit is badass, right? Though. I still think the suit is badass, but that...
I mean, the suit looks cool, but like the thing, right? Like you would have thought they had 2 movies prior to learn what they could improve on, and they didn't.
I was about to say the suit is badass. So badass that I already pre-ordered the toy. So now I'm thinking, fuck, what if Hasbro knew what they were doing from the beginning? They just needed an excuse. They just called it a movie, but really it was just a really expensive advertisement to buy the fucking toy.
I mean, isn't that what it is all most of the time?
Now, jokes aside though, like the suit is badass, both for Storm Shadow, Snake Eyes, Akiko, so on and so forth. The characters were well designed enough in terms of like their costumes and stuff. But the story, because at the end of the day, you watch movies, I think, at least, for 2 reasons. 1 is the story, 2 is the spectacle. The spectacle wasn't there because it was too shaky, aside from like a few slow motion shots, which you could find for free on the trailer.
And honestly, neither was the story.
The story is not even... The story was atrocious, but it's not terrible enough where it warrants a so bad it's good. It's just bland.
There's just bad, right? Like, it's not bad, but it's also not good. It's just really generic.
Existence.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just exists.
And, like the worst part about being bad is that it doesn't reach the part. Yeah, like as you said, it doesn't reach that point where it's so bad it's good. Nor does it reach the point where it's just absolutely dog shit. It's just mediocre / bad.
Yeah, I feel like you could sum up the story as this movie as a revenge story where this man has to play both sides of the war, so to speak, to obtain his goals, but they realized it would have sold better if they added G.I. Joe characters into it. That's just how I feel.
Probably.
Because I tried to watch other like YouTube movie channels where they talk about 15 fucking Easter eggs you probably missed. I watched it, I realized all of them, and there weren't even fucking Easter eggs. Like, it was just, here's a Cobra logo, bro. It's like super well hidden because it's a Cobra logo. It's not fucking well hidden, bro. There was a close-up shot of the dude's lapel.
It's like the one on the weapon crate that's like slightly hidden off the shot in the first scene, and then literally when they're inspecting the gun, it's just straight up there. And
the fact that they straight up call them Cobra. Yeah, that's quite the fucking Easter egg, bro.
Wow, Easter egg, yeah.
Yeah. How about the Easter egg where they got the fucking age wrong for fucking Hardmaster? Or his character wrong in general. But yeah, I didn't like this movie. I was thoroughly disappointed. I feel like G.I. Joe Retaliation is still the most cohesive film out of all of them, despite the fact that the characters were kind of bland. But somehow. I feel like Rise of Cobra still somehow is the most fun if you turn your brain off.
Yeah. Like, isn't that the bad thing, right? Where it's like I said, if that could be a turn your brain off movie, then you can enjoy it in that sense, right? But with this film, you really can't because of how shit the action is.
The pacing was also terrible, dude. Like, the first 15 minutes just flew by so quick.
Your dad's dead. All right, well, time to go fight some man underground.
Yeah. Like, why did we need to see that way? Why didn't they just show that in like intercut flashbacks? Makes no sense.
Why? Because you really need to know his motivation here before we start.
All right, so where do you think the G.I. Joe franchise should go from here? The film franchise, specifically.
I mean, honestly, it's hard to say, right? Because, like to my knowledge, like as we discussed earlier, a lot of it's like either military stuff or spy stuff, which in like cinema has already been done way too many times.
Oh no, I meant in terms of like the film franchise. In terms of, do you think they should reboot it, or where do you think they're going to go with this new continuity?
I mean, okay, well, from one's perspective, like if this movie flops, which currently is on the track, it seems like it's on the track too.
Yeah, it is on a new level of shit.
They're probably going to be like any like license holder or like prospective like sponsor is just gonna be like, yeah, no, we're not paying for a sequel, and then they're just gonna have to they're gonna reboot it another time in a couple of years, which is honestly I feel like what they're gonna do. Personally, I feel like they could have redeemed this somehow, but like, it's would this be saved by like a Snyder Cut level edit?
No, I don't think so.
But at this point, yeah, I think their only option is to reboot it again, like a fucking third time.
This is what I would do. Just fucking give me a Storm Shadow movie. Selfishly, that's what I want. But realistically, if they want to keep Henry Golding as Snake Eyes and shit like that, this is what I think they should do. Because I think the cast is still good, given like the writing was poor and whatnot. But I think the cast was actually pretty good. I think their performances for the most part were all pretty solid. They weren't like super corny or nothing, aside from I guess like Andrew Koji's Rage. But that's just the way that it was written. If you're gonna make a sequel, make it a Snake Eyes movie and make it an actual Snake Eyes adventure. Maybe it should be his initiation to the G.I. Joes themselves. Keep his voice in there until either halfway is too sudden. Until you get to the second act, as in like ending the first act with him losing his voice as a major incident, or until the very end. Keep his voice until the very end. One or the other. And
right.
Since we already met Scarlet, you could put the seeds of their relationship building, and then introduce Duke as sort of like a bit of a romantic rival, I guess, so to speak. But more importantly, he needs to be like Duke should be a bit of a stick in the mud at first, and then throughout the adventure, Snake Eyes learns that Duke is actually a very resourceful leader, and why he too was handpicked by General Hawk to join the GI Joes. And their first mission should be something completely unrelated to Storm Shadow, but Snake Eyes is clearly wanting to hunt down Storm Shadow so that he could restore him and reintegrate him back to the Arashikage clan. That should always be in the back of Snake Eyes' mind, because that is, in my opinion at least, is clearly his fucking fault. So he should feel guilty about that. So we're gonna retcon that a little bit. That's hilarious. Mm-hmm. Second movie and retcons already. We're gonna retcon that and make sure that Snake Eyes is not doing this out of obligation, but wanting to find Storm Shadow out of guilt. So that's how I feel it should be. And it could be something as simple as the movie is hunting down Zartan, for example. They don't know that Zartan... See? Fuck, that doesn't work either. I was about to say, it should be hunting down Zartan so that it would be ironic, because they'll find out in the future the clan's downfall, aka killing the Hardmaster, was because of Zartan. But you'll never fucking know that. I mean, the irony's not there no more, because the Hardmaster is still well and alive. So that doesn't fucking work.
Yeah.
Shit.
Okay, they're gonna have to kill him off too.
Okay, fine. Fuck. Okay, point is, it should be Snake Eyes meeting the Joes, and at least having missions with 2 to 3 of them, with one of them absolutely needing to be Scarlet, because she's already somewhat established. She's really not established, but we know she exists already.
She exists, but my like what I would predict for that is that they would just cut her out completely, because you already know about that one. Let's introduce some new ones.
My vote would be Duke, because like I said, they're technically romantic rivals in the comics. Or if you want to play it safe, Beachhead, because he could be like a funny comic relief character, as long as you write him correctly. Because also Beachhead is like a drill instructor, so to speak. Like he's a bit of an asshole sometimes. Oh, cool. Yeah, actually, that would work better. Beachhead and Scarlet, maybe Duke at the end. And then their thing is they're trying to apprehend Firefly, which is he's like he's basically a fucking arsonist.
Nice.
Yeah, he's an arsonist of Cobra, and then you can link that together. That's what I would do for a second movie, and then build up more characters in the long run. If you want to keep Henry Golding as Snake Eyes. Because, I'm not going to lie. I just feel really cheated too that we didn't get to see more of that suit in action, because it fucking looks badass.
Oh, yeah, but if they reboot it, they're just going to straight up toss that design out.
I know, they're just going to make another one. But yeah, that's what I think would work if they were to make a sequel to Snake Eyes.
Mm.
And I would completely... I don't know if... I think I would drop the whole G.I. Joe Origins thing as a marketing thing, kind of like how X-Men did it after fucking X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yes. And just go with, like, Logan.
Yeah, and I would just call it, like, Snake Eyes or Ashikage Battles. I don't fucking know. I don't know.
Maybe just no tagline. Maybe just make the reboot Snake Eyes.
Well, this is meant to be a sequel to Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins, right? So I don't know what you would call it.
Right.
But yeah, that's just... Maybe just call it Snake Eyes 2. How about that? Oh, I'm pretty sure if I don't mention this, I'm gonna sound like a sellout. The whole fucking dice thing being rigged, stupid. Fucking stupid. What kind of fuck? I make my own luck, Liam.
What do you mean you'd sound like a sellout?
Yeah, because... Sorry?
Well, what do you mean by you would sound like a sellout if you didn't mention that?
Because I love like fucking Batman, right? You know the Two-Face coin thing?
Oh, yeah.
And how it's a double-headed coin? That's actually smart, because you would always assume a coin is not double-headed. But when you flip it and you still can't see the fact that it's double-headed, that's actually clever. The fucking magnetic or whatever fucking gyroscopic dice, that's fucking stupid. Loaded dice. That's fucking stupid. That's so
I'm pretty sure the term for it is a loaded dice, but I don't know exactly how it works.
That's also like that's fucking stupid. Like that's why he's called Snake Eyes. Like what? You're telling me he was 8? He had like 8 years of life, and his dad never gave him a fucking name, even if it was fake. Like his name could have been fucking like I don't know, Christopher or some shit.
A loaded dice, also known as a weighted or crooked dice. Oh, so yeah, it's probably because it's the distribution for weight is in a certain area, so it'll always land on that side.
But yeah, why the fuck doesn't he have a name? It's stupid.
Snake Eyes?
Yeah, why doesn't he have a fucking name? His dad, as far as he knows, he's been living a normal life, a normal 8-year life. Why doesn't he have a name?
I mean, apparently he did have a name. It was just fake.
Okay, why don't we use that as his name and not call him Snake Eyes as a name?
So from the movie, he only learned his name was fake at the end, and he didn't want to use his, supposed real name, right? I don't know, out of childhood trauma or something. That's what I would assume their explanation would be.
Look, that already doesn't make sense. If you have a fucking name, real or not, that's still a name. Snake Eyes is not a fucking name. There's no way Snake Eyes isn't. That's clearly like a code name or some shit.
Yeah,
an
or
alias.
A nickname.
Yeah, you do not like. Look, let's say if Peter Parker had amnesia, right? And he needed a name, he's not gonna fucking call himself Spider-Man unless he's like stupid, I guess. But like, because Spider-Man is not a fucking name. Peter is a name. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What? If you're gonna like, look, the only way that could have worked. The only way that could have worked is, let's say he had a fucking name, but then he lost his voice, and because there's no documentation or papers or whatever. And he was just, let's say he was kidnapped or some shit, or forced to work in like a sweatshop or something. And he's just going through like a lot of shit to the point where a name doesn't matter anymore. He's just given a number or a code. That number could have been 2. Then it makes sense for him to call himself Snake Eyes. You know what I'm saying? Like
something.
Yeah, that makes more sense than fucking, yo, bro. Do you know why I call myself Snake Eyes? It's because of the trauma I had when my fucking dad died. But rather than trying to get over that...
He rolled the dice, and he got Snake Eyes.
Yeah, rather than trying
I'm the one who killed him.
What? But yeah, it's like, rather than trying to get rid of that trauma and shit, I'm just gonna have that carried with me and make it seem like I'm the dickhead that killed my dad, but I'm actually the dickhead that killed most of your clan. I'm sorry, but Snake Eyes was not even Snake Eyes in this movie, bro. He didn't look like him, and I don't mean the ethnicity thing, I mean the costume. He didn't look like him. He certainly didn't sound like him. And he did not remotely behave like him at all.
He was literally just a dickhead out for revenge.
Yes, he was just a fucking dickhead. He's a fucking treacherous dickhead, bro. That's all that he was. He's a fucking selfish dickhead who has like morals for like 10 minutes, and that's it.
Morals at the end of the movie.
Anyways, Kevin, any closing thoughts on Snake Eyes, both as a character as well as the movie?
Honestly, not really. It just wasn't that great of a movie, I gotta tell you.
Yeah, I'm on a very similar boat.
Like, even for an action flick, it was just not very enjoyable.
Yeah, I'm on a very similar boat. It had potential to be good, but it was just...
And that was about it.
It was just trash. It was just a bad movie. The best part of the movie was the popcorn that I bought. I'm joking. The best part of the movie, I feel, if I'm being honest at the very least, because I feel like I've been trashing on this thing the whole time, is I do genuinely think that the actors gave out pretty good performances with the material that they were given. If I had to be honest, I think that deserves some credit, and I also think that the character designs for the most part were pretty good.
Yeah, well, but like that's it, right? They were just dealt a bad hand.
Yeah, because I feel like what I just said could easily describe a fan film, right? The performances were good for what it was. The costumes were kind of cool. Sounds like a fan film.
Yeah, but it could have been written a lot better.
Sounds like, yeah, exactly. Sounds like a fan film.
And the cinematography wasn't that great. Yeah, it's just a fan film at that point.
And not like a particularly like good one. Just like, yeah, it was a valiant attempt, I guess.
But like that would be compliments for like a fan film on YouTube, not for you know,
You
a
know-
multi-million-dollar budget
You know, Kevin,
movie.
I feel like we could have written a more true Snake Eyes story than whoever did it.
I mean, that's a thought.
Anyways, yeah, I think that's about it when it comes to this episode of the Ghetto Fabulous Podcast in regards to Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins. I guess we're both under the same contention, which is it wasn't particularly a great movie.
It's shit.
Yeah, would you recommend anyone seeing this?
Honestly, not really. Even if you're gonna watch an action film, at least and you want to turn your brain off, at least just watch Transformers. Like,
Yeah.
even that, at least has better action.
If you want to watch a better ninja movie that has like better action, check out Scott Adkins. He has 2 movies. One of them is just strictly called Ninja. The other one is called Ninja Tear of a Shadow or some shit. Stories are pretty like thin, but there's still better movies than this in my opinion, and the action is tremendously better. So check out those if you want. Actually, yeah, check those out. If anything, that's a better Snake Eyes movie than this. He's just missing the suit. And he still talks, I guess. Barely.
How sad.
But yeah, that's going to be about it for us. Kevin, do you have any social media handles you want to plug in?
Well, I mean, you could just throw them into like the description, right?
All right, cool. As for myself, you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and much more at Kirby Kwan Jr. That's KIRBY KWANJR. If you want to follow my stuff when it comes to cosplay and other stuff like that, it seems like these days I'm most active on Instagram, so feel free to look out for that there. And also, once again, if you're listening to this on any audio platforms, please do not forget to rate the podcast as well as follow this podcast as it is available on multiple platforms, including Spotify, Google, iTunes, Breaker, RadioPublic, and so much more. Once again, thank you for listening to the Ghetto Fabulous Podcast. Take care.
Yeah.
Seriously, give me a Storm Shadow movie.